building.
It is.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our spring webinar at MusicFirst. My name is Dr. Jim Frankel, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome three fantastic music educators, two from Cobb County, Georgia, and one from Deer Valley out in Arizona. What we're doing tonight is talking about real classrooms and real results. And what the conversation over the next 45 minutes or so is going to center on is these three music teachers, how they're using MusicFirst, what they're doing in their music programs, how they came to decide on using our tools. But more importantly, it's really about what kids are doing, what the outcomes of using our tools. That's really what matters, period. But we figured we'd get three exemplary music teachers on this webinar to share their thoughts with you this evening. So the first person I'm going to introduce, and then they're going to tell you a little bit about their district, where it's located, and kind of what their day-to-day role is Anna Backstrom. So Anna from Deer Valley Unified School District. Let us know a little bit about you and where you're teaching music.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Frankel. I am Anna Backstrom. I am the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Specialist for all performing, fine arts, health, and physical education. Wow. It's a big role. I'm currently in my 6th year. And so one of the first things I wanted to do when I came into my position was secure a really strong, healthy, robust, rigorous program for my music adoptions. So Deer Valley encompasses a wide variety of communities and cities. We, including Phoenix, we also have 5 other cities we encompass, and additionally, the unincorporated areas of Maricopa County that surround us. So a very large, diverse district. We have 42 schools, 15 K6, 16 K8, 3 7-8 middle schools, 5 high schools, 2 alternative schools, and 1 online academy that teaches 6th through 12th grade.
Wow. And Anna, we were talking a little bit before. Tell everyone what the current temperature is in Phoenix, Arizona, because I'm blown away.
Right. I believe we're probably around 101 right now.
It's in March. Absolutely. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm in New York, and as I was saying, it's freezing cold here today. So, wow, very jealous. Thanks, Anna. We're going to now switch over to Dr. Sarah Womack, who's in Cobb County, Georgia.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah Womack. I'm the supervisor of general and choral music, dance, and theater for the Cobb County School District. So I support all of our elementary music and middle school and high school chorus teachers. We have about 106,000 students in our district that covers about 112 schools. We're the 2nd largest district in Georgia, and I think the 23rd largest district in the country. Wow. We have about 70 elementary music teachers. All of our students are enrolled in elementary music. And we have about 50 middle school and high school chorus teachers. And so we have choral programs in all of our schools. And then we have about 130 middle school and high school band and orchestra teachers. I don't support them. We have another supervisor that supports instrumental music, but they use MusicFirst as well. So I wanted to shout them out. We have about 82% of our students are enrolled in middle school music courses, and about 18% of our high school students are enrolled in music courses. So we're northwest of the city of Atlanta in Fulton County, so considered Metro Atlanta. So we're excited to be here and share a little about what we do.
Awesome. Before I turn it over to Jay, Anna and Sarah, it sounds like you have a lot of music teachers working for you. And Anna, you've not only got music teachers, but also phys ed and other areas of that kind of the specials, if you will, what we call them in New Jersey. Do you guys supervise all those teachers in one year, like each one of them?
In my role, I don't necessarily supervise. I look at myself more as a support for those teachers. We I am not called a director in our district, even though I have my master's in educational leadership. Each teacher that I support is currently supervised by their school administrator. And if that school administrator would like assistance or help in any way, then of course I am always happy to go sit in and supervise, watch teachers, and assist teachers in best practices.
Great. Sarah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about the same in Cobb. I really don't supervise. I'm more of a friendly support when they need help, or if there's an issue that arises at their school, or if there's any equipment, or if they need MusicFirst. That's kind of when I step in and provide whatever necessary resources they need. And then be a support for the principals too, to let them know kind of what to expect from music teachers and the level of excellence that we expect. So
for us folks who are in the Northeast, I live in New York, and my little tiny district, there's a total student population of about 600. For the total district. We've got 3 elementaries, 1 middle, and 1 high school. So when I hear those kind of numbers, and I'm sure we have music teachers around the country visiting us right now, tuned in, I'm sure they're like, oh my God, that's huge. So thanks for putting that into perspective. So last but certainly not least, Jay Champion, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role, where you're teaching, and what you're doing in Lost Mountain Middle School?
Yeah, Lost Mountain Middle School is in Cobb County, so I'm in the same county as Sarah. I've been teaching at this school since 1998. This is my 28th year at the same school.
Congrats!
I did teach one school in Baton Rouge before I came to Georgia, and it's been a joy. My current gig is 5 chorus classes and 1 music tech class, but over the majority of my career, this is really the first year that I'm doing that. Over the majority of my career, well, it went from mostly general music classes and 1 chorus class to then growing the chorus program. But I kept the general music classes because I love teaching general music. So I did 3 chorus classes and 3 general music classes for the longest time. And then the general music classes became music tech classes. And so it stayed 3 chorus classes and 3 music tech classes for the longest time. And I managed to hold on to 1 of my music tech classes. And so I teach an 8th grade music tech class. But yeah, the chorus students, it's an elective. And so we have a pretty robust music program here at Lost Mountain. It's about 1,000 kids in the school. And I'd say about 80% of them are in band, chorus, or orchestra. And we do allow our students to participate in 2 if they want to. So I'd say in any given year, about 30 to 50% of my choir singers are also in band or orchestra, and that's a great experience for them. My music tech class is not an elective class; it's a general population class, and so the students are in there whether they want to be or not. But I get inevitably a few that are in band, chorus, orchestra, so it ends up being a wonderful supplement for them. It's an 18-week class, and I teach it twice a year, so that's about what I do. Yeah.
All right, so Jay, I have to ask you, because when I taught band was before school or after school. We never had rehearsals during the day. So I just have to ask, do you get to see your ensembles during the day, or is it kind of an extracurricular for the rehearsal?
Yeah. Our classes are about 50-minute classes, and we meet daily.
Oh, yes. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. I'm sure other people know what I'm talking about, because I could only do like pull out lessons during the day. I had 4 general music periods a day. So my band, my orchestra, my jazz band had to meet before and after school, which was far from ideal. But with 1,000 kids, I can't even imagine trying to get 800 kids in band choir. That's absolutely fabulous. So again, for everybody that's watching, you can see how, these are very, very large districts, and certainly different than where I taught. So what I'd love to do now, we'll go back to Anna. Just tell us a little bit about what makes your music program in Deer Valley special. Tell us a little bit about what they're doing, performance ensembles, general music, anything like that.
Yeah, we are so fortunate in our district. We have been supported from the top down from the very beginning. We're very stable. All of our administration just loves music and all of the arts. So very, very fortunate, because as well as I do, if we don't have administrative support, then things get pushed to the wayside. So we're very fortunate. We have general music. K-6 is mandatory for all of our students. They may choose on our sixth grade, fifth and sixth is when we typically start band. So fifth grade, but we have an innovative model at our fourth grade level where we have the we call it the MDM. It's like a musical delivery instrument thing where all the students get to, just experiment with a real instrument. And we have it set up on a rotation with homogeneous groupings so that everyone kind of has that opportunity. And our band teachers actually teach that, which is wonderful. It gives our general music teachers a little break in their day. So the band directors teach that in fourth grade. And then that helps with recruitment also for our fifth grade band, which is where we typically start our beginning band. And we do homogeneous groupings in fifth grade, typically during the specials slot for scheduling. Mm-hmm. So it really does work out that our teachers get to work with like instruments or likewise instruments. And then moving forward from there, we continue with choir during the day on our K-8 campuses in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then on our K-6 campuses, choir is before or after school on an addenda for that director. And then we can also have choir as an addenda at our K-6 campuses for the elementary and the middle school. So you can actually pull 2 addendas if you're on a K-8 campus.
Wow. Wow.
And yes, all of our K-8 campuses have choir during the school day for 7th and 8th grade. And then our true middle schools all have band and choir, and 2 of our 3 have orchestra during the day as well. And stringed instruments are delivered through a general music programming in 3rd grade, recorders prior to, and just very robust opportunities for our students to really discover music and what makes them special, where they fit into that narrative. And then, of course, when we move into high school, we offer things like guitar, piano, advanced guitar, advanced piano. We have music theory, IB music theory. One of our high schools is an IB program. We've got an elementary school that's an IB program. So we really have a diversity of opportunities for our students to really dig in. We have jazz band, orchestra. We do wind ensemble, concert choirs, show choirs. we're all over the place with this vertical alignment that I'm quite proud of, the work that everybody's done, all of our teachers and stuff. So that's a little bit of what we are, what we do. And we service about 31,000 students.
Wow. So Anna, I don't know if you know this, but I interviewed Michael Ferraro, who's one of your teachers. He teaches guitar in Deer Valley. He's going to be on our podcast this upcoming Tuesday. And he was telling me all about that MDM thing. And he kind of floats back and forth between a couple of different schools. So absolutely an incredible program you have there. So I'll turn it over to Sarah. Let's hear a little bit about all the offerings for Cobb County.
Yeah, so I mentioned a little bit earlier. So all of our elementary school students, K-5, are enrolled in music courses. We subscribe to the ORF philosophy. So all of our elementary teachers are ORF certified, and we offer ORF training over the summer for 2 weeks. So that's typically the elementary focus. And then middle school, high school are all offering band, chorus, and orchestra. We have 3 of our high schools that are offering now a music technology pathway that we're really excited about. And we really do try to make sure that vertical alignment is there. So the foundation that they receive in elementary school transfers to, more specialties in middle school and then to high school. We are very supported by our community. We have a performing arts donation program where all of our students in kindergarten through 8th grade either go see a performance or have a performance come to them in their school to make sure that even if they don't have the opportunity opportunity in their homes that they're able to see performances in their school. So all of our fifth graders go see the Atlanta Symphony. All of our second graders, we actually have 2 performances next week for them to see the Atlanta Ballet. And then all of our sixth graders get a performance from the Atlanta Opera. And then we have, in-school performances as well. So it really is kind of an all-encompassing arts program that they can then decide how they want that to continue in their lives in middle school and high school and on to adulthood. And I'm sure Jay can help fill in the gaps that I missed.
There, yeah. So Jay, thank you very much, Sarah. Jay, tell us, what is your daily schedule like? You get to school and maybe talk about the other parts of the music program at Lost Mountain Middle School.
Well, so myself and other middle school band, chorus, orchestra teachers, we teach a 7-period day, and one of those is a long period where we get our planning. So we teach 6 periods, and 2 on each grade level. So in Georgia, there was a old thing where the grade level teachers had to have common planning periods, and they held on to that. So we get all of our 6th graders at one time, all of our 7th graders at one time, and all of our 8th graders at one time, which does not allow us to mix grade levels like a lot of other states do. I grew up in Texas, so I was in there with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in choirs. So all of our choirs are grade level choirs. We teach two classes for each one. Most chorus teachers teach 2 different chorus classes and either treat it as 2 different ensembles or try to combine for concerts and that sort of thing. Same thing with bands and orchestras. If there's enough kids, they'll level so that it's two different ensembles. At Lost Mountain, so in addition to those 3 grade level ensembles, because I do combine, we have a boys choir and a girls choir that meets before school a couple of days a week, and one of those days is a sectional. So for the kids, it's 3 days every 2 weeks, and that's just fun. There's no curricular demands or standard demands on that one. We just have a good time. They pick music. They might pick concert music. They might pick, pop music, whatever. But it's a great opportunity to get those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in the same room and let them sing together and make those friendships, which I think helps a lot when it comes to getting them from 8th to 9th grade and that vertical alignment that Sarah was talking about. And so that's the choir side of my job. We do the normal events, the all-state choir, the LGPE, and we have a very robust, I've been using that word a lot today. We have a really, really great Music Educators Association, GMEA, creates a lot of opportunities for our students. So we participate a lot in those honor choirs, lots of honor choirs and things like that. So, and there's always jobs to do with that too. So we're pretty involved. But yeah, that's pretty much the day.
How many music teachers are actually in your middle school? Because I think it's probably more than just you, right?
In mine, it's 5. It's 2 band directors, 2 orchestra directors, and me.
Wow. Right. So again, I taught in a middle school with about 700 students in it, and there were 2 music teachers, and we were kind of running around like chickens with our heads cut off all the time. So that's amazing. I'd just like to, before we go on to the next question, what resonated to me were 2 main things: stable administration and supportive administration. Oh my goodness, as well as a supportive community. I think those are 2 magic ingredients. I will say that when I was teaching, I had 11 principals in 15 years, 11 building principals in 15 years. And that kind of, turmoil or that turbulence, it does not lend itself well to, you're always trying to impress someone new and then they're gone, or they'll come in and they're with these huge plans and then the parents would run them out. So just if maybe Sarah, how important is that, a supportive administration and a supportive community for you and your job?
I mean, it's essential. I mean, the administration makes or breaks music programs because it's not just 1 year. Elementary school, you see those kids for 6 years. Yep. If you're having to re-educate a principal like every couple of years, that's time that you're taking away from students that you have to get them to invest in your program, not resources, but invest in, your growth plan for what you're trying to do. And then 2, it's not just elementary school, right? It's the vertical alignment that we're talking about. So it not only disrupts that one school, it disrupts the pathway as well, whether it's the high school or the middle school. So that administration is essential to make sure that.
To be honest, it's why I left teaching.
Yeah.
I was constantly a brand new principal almost every year. It was just like, it was completely unsustainable where I just had to keep impressing. Anyway, so it's really nice to hear that. And Jay, it sounds, I'm a little jealous. I think you're in a really good position where you have that kind of support. So let's shift the conversation a little bit over to MusicFirst and talk, in Cobb County and in Deer Valley, that, there's so many products out there, and all of them are great. They all do, really, they're all there to help support teachers and their students. But I'd love to know, how you're using MusicFirst, and maybe if you can remember back to when you adopted it, why you chose us, it would be great. Anna, if you don't mind starting us off. So, how's it being used, and what made you decide to use us would be really great.
Absolutely. Well, because I actually was the person who went through the adoption process, I have very fond memories of some of the competition and how MusicFirst rated against the competition. I had my team leads for band and choir representing on that panel. And one of the things we were really looking for was the process. Not necessarily a system of systems, but we were looking for a program that could capture the diversity of our district, of our programming, and it's a framework. We found that MusicFirst is a framework for modernizing music education so that we can have the alignment, so that we can have the performance and the process, so that we could have the creativity and the assessment, so we could have individual growth and program-wide consistency. And that is really what we were looking for in a program. And MusicFirst really knocked it out of the park for us on all of those, on all those points. And the fact that since we start in fourth grade, really introducing our students to instruments, it aligned beautifully with that point moving forward all the way to our graduating seniors. So what we found is the rollout was very important, because not only is it an enormous framework of a platform that holds so many different programs with such an ability to capture student learning and student ownership and individualized processes and growth, and allows the student to really just take ownership of their performance or learning in whichever program you utilize during that time. I wish we would have had enough money to get the whole thing. I don't like it when people say I can't have something because it's too expensive. But honestly, what we have now is amazing. There's a couple of extras that I wish we could just pull in, but for now, our teachers are very, very happy with being able to go in and just build it out, because we're a PLC district. And with that PLC process and the 4 questions and our teachers meeting every Friday consistently for 90 minutes, this program really brings into alignment all of those processes that we're looking for. So we think it's fabulous. My team on the adoption committee thought it was wonderful. It tended to outperform some of the other competitions in certain things that we were really looking for to harness the growth of the student, the growth of the teacher, and just the programmatic growth throughout the districts. And it really just does bring that into great alignment for everyone.
As you can see, and I got a giant smile, and I really appreciate all that. I'm the one who designed this thing, and I called it MusicFirst. It's the only company I'm ever going to start. I'm never doing this again. But I called it MusicFirst because it's all about music, right? It's all about music, and then it's then you need a really talented and passionate educator next. And the technology is really just a tool. So it's nice. It's nice to hear that. It's great. And the other thing was I wanted a holistic approach to music education. I mean, there are a lot of companies out there that do some of the things we do really, really well. But I wanted this kind of full 360-degree picture of a student's musical, learning, everything from ear training to composing and everything in between, performing. So thanks, Anna. I appreciate that. I'll turn it over to you, Sarah.
Yeah, so we kind of approach things in a different way in Cobb, and Jay was here when we adopted MusicFirst. This is just my third year in Cobb, so he can share a little bit about what that process was like. But before Cobb, I was in Atlanta Public Schools for 6 years as their arts coordinator. And I guess that was 2017. I first started in that job and started exploring what resources were out there. Oh, throwback to what you were just talking about, Jim, about consistent support. I was the fourth arts coordinator in 4 years.
I remember meeting you.
Yeah. So they didn't have any platform. They didn't have any, learning management kind of platforms or, any resources outside of, method books. So as soon, when I got there, pretty soon afterwards, started kind of exploring what the options were. And I had a few teachers that were really interested in, learning more about MusicFirst. And so it kind of spread grassroots organically from teacher to teacher as they had conversations about it. And then, we had a little pandemic and where lots of teachers then were like, tell me about that MusicFirst thing. So, obviously from there it spread and I think, became an essential part. Even when we went back to face-to-face instruction, it had become part of their teaching. Right. I don't necessarily purchase the same thing for all teachers. Music teachers they're so individual and they have their own strengths. Yes. And I also hate wasting money. Really? So, which I so appreciate how y'all provide the reports that let us know the usage, like is the product really being used? Because if it's not, then we need to either train you on how to use it or, we need to use that funding to somebody else, give that funding to somebody else that will use it. So, so that's kind of how we've worked in Cobb. Y'all are great. I'm sure when Jody receives my email that says, hey, here's all of the different things that my 50 chorus teachers need, and each one is different. And here's the number of kids, and they need 50 of this, but only 20 of this. I know it's frustrating to y'all, but it saves us. Yeah. Okay, well, good.
So that's what we do. We definitely love the making sure that every teacher is different, even from building the building in the same district. They're different. They might be.
Yes.
And I'll get to you in a minute, Jay, because you're one of those folks who's using it. But yeah, I love the fact that we can customize it to the needs of the individual teacher, and not just say this is what you're using, whether you like it or not. Definitely. And that's why we offer so many different tools, because there's so many different aspects of, a music theory teacher is going to need a different set of tools than a band director.
Yeah.
So let's go over to Jay now. And Jay, because you're actually using this on a day-to-day basis, maybe give us some ideas of how you're using it with your students.
Well, just to kind of tag on to what Anna and Sarah were saying, I think the best thing about it is that it starts with accessibility, and then it puts the learning in their hands and it lets them go on their own with it. And just giving them the tools to learn on their own and pace themselves, will learn at their own pace and access the content that they want to access. It really creates a wonderful ownership of their own learning. So during that COVID time, that's when we started using it, and accessibility was a big, big deal. And I was freaking out because my music tech classes were all built on units that I had designed. There were no textbooks. A few people had published a few books on how to teach music technology, but everybody was just kind of making up their own units. I remember when I was one of a handful of music tech teachers in the entire state of Georgia, and wonderfully, it's become rather ubiquitous now. But at the time, we were a rare breed, and so I had already made all my own units from scratch using GarageBand and Finale. Yeah. And so but they had to be at school in the lab to use GarageBand, use both. And so how are we going to do this? And so when it just came down like a miracle. Like, what? There's this company that it's all web based, and now there's Soundtrap and Noteflight. And so I just transposed all my things over to Soundtrap and Noteflight. And so to answer the question of how I use it in two very different ways for my two roles here, my chorus teacher role and my music tech teacher role. So in music tech, I don't hardly use the learning management system portion of it, which is wonderful and very capable. But Cobb County has its own learning management system that they like the teachers to use. So I really use it in a very basic way to just give assignments and collect work and grade and give feedback. And then I'll go put those grades in the grade book. But it's better for the students and their parents to have all of that work in that platform, because that's where they're seeing a lot of the other content for their other classes.
What is that platform, by the way, Jay? Is it proprietary, or is it like Canvas or Schoology, something like that?
It's called CTLS, the Cobb Teaching and Learning System. Okay. And I don't know, and I know it existed for some time before COVID. I don't know if it was completely originated in Cobb or if it's purchased from I don't know those details.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so in the music tech classes, I really just use the MusicFirst classroom as a portal to get to Soundtrap and Noteflight. And let me tell you, just that alone is worth the money. Like right there. To not have to, go deal with separate companies and have separate usernames and passwords, and for everything to just be in one place, and then the other have access to the other resources that are in there, because we use a lot of focus on sound as well, and just get into the other resources, just to have the other resources available to them, so that they can pick and choose them when they want to. And also a little trick on the music tech side. I don't teach a piano class, but we have keyboards at all of our stations. So I always take one of those MusicFirst classroom piano courses, and I just throw it in there. Yeah. And I say, listen, I'm never going to give you an assignment for any of this, but if you want to walk yourself through that and start learning, and that's exactly what they do. A lot of those kids are just, so just having access to that is huge. So that's how I'll use it in music tech. It's a lot of units it's composition, basically, learning about the elements of music, identifying the elements of music. We turn in a lot of MP3s and screenshots. I don't bother going into their Soundtrap projects to grade them. It takes too much time.
You get the end result.
I'll do that if I have to, but I get the evidence that I need with a screenshot and MP3, sometimes a video, that sort of thing. So as a chorus teacher, you try to use a lot of different tools for different jobs, and to speak to what Anna was saying about it being such a huge menu, you can say that when COVID hit, I totally panic bought. Like, I was like, I want all the apps. I want them all for all my students. I probably cost Cobb County a ton of money. There was no way. You can't use them all. You could not. I mean, it's like going to a restaurant buffet and saying, I'll have everything. I mean, you just can't. So you end up really using the ones that you use, and that's going to be different from teacher to teacher. Absolutely. So for me, it came down to Sight Reading Factory was a must, and a lot of the built-in MusicFirst content. Some PracticeFirst. I'm trying to get more PracticeFirst done, but that's really what it came down to was Sight Reading Factory. And so I used Aurelia and Musician years and years ago when it was a standalone thing. They were installed locally on computers, and I thought they were great. So I was real excited when they came into the MusicFirst platform there. So I did get those, and I'm starting to use those again. But just letting them practice on their own and do it as many times as they need to has been a real advantage, a real blessing for us, and it's helped our students a lot.
That's great. And Sarah and Jay, you both mentioned COVID. It's like 6 years ago. I remember it vividly. When March 13th happened, I ran webinars on March 16th, 17th, and 18th. So 6 years ago today. Yeah. And I had 1,000 teachers on each one of those webinars going, what the do we do? Like, please help. And we went from 250,000 users on March 12th to 2.5 million users on March 19th.
Wow.
It was an insane time, but it's good to hear that, that it's still being used. But yeah, we were so happy to help. We gave it away. We gave it away at the beginning, just like, please, we'll get you through the end. Nobody knew how long it was going to last. Anyway, don't need to go over that again because it's just such a. But yeah, I looked up at the calendar and went, oh my God, that was exactly 6 years ago. I was doing a webinar just like this with panicked music teachers trying to figure out how to use it. All right, so we're going to come back now. What I'd love to ask is, you make this investment in this product, and then, Sarah, you mentioned looking at usage. I'd love to know, have you noticed any growth in student performance, teacher happiness? What have you noticed any benefit for your district, Anna, at Deer Valley? You've had it a few years now. What have you seen?
We've seen numbers going up and down. Honestly, it really does come to a point to where staffing has played a large role in our numbers and how they tend to move. We have pretty decent turnover rate out here in Arizona. Again, our district is as successful as just about any district is in Arizona when it comes to high test scores, high achieving schools, and support from administration. But teaching is not easy. And
not at all.
We found that it's really hard and overwhelming when we do have turnover happening on certain campuses, possibly due to feelings towards administration or having to move out of state because they feel like they can make more money in a different state, which is a very big possibility considering our funding. But in the big scheme of things, our district does a fine job of maintaining the salaries that we can maintain and paying teachers for their time. So when we took a look at our numbers, I believe the first time I asked, not Jay that's on this webinar, but our
Jay, the one and only Jay Matejko.
Yes. Prior to our presentation at the MIM, the Musical Instrument Museum last year at the technology, I asked her, I said, can I see what's happening on all of the different things? And Jay was like, yeah, I think we can do that. And so hence birth the dashboard, accessibility and things like that. And so when I started looking at the numbers, I was just like, okay, well, this is when we had a dip in staffing, and then you have to retrain all of the new teachers, but they're also new and you don't want to overwhelm them. And, and as Jay on the webinar so poignantly said earlier, it's a lot. It is so much. Yeah. And, really have to be delicate with how you deliver and roll out that professional development. But what we did notice is that the teachers who were able to use it and harness it in their everyday teaching, the student-centered learning, student-centered data based on our common formative assessments, our summative formative assessments, all of those things were starting to fall into place, and we could capture individualized growth. And MusicFirst provided that platform. So once our other teachers who may have been a little reluctant or slow on the the boarding, so to speak, once they started seeing how other teachers were utilizing it and bringing students' learning abilities to a point of excellence beyond what they had expected previously in prior years, because it does bring about that individualized accountability. And it's so amazing to see that working in our planned learning communities and looking at that cognitive formative assessment data, all of those things. It's just really cool on how, we have top marching band in the state, in our district, right? And all of our high schools are super competitive in marching band, and all of our high schools are very competitive in choral events. We're invested in Arizona Music Educators Association. So the content of MusicFirst has enabled us to enhance student learning and student growth. And then on the backside, you see the teachers utilizing it more and more. And as teacher turnover hopefully slows, we'll continue to see that rise on all of the platforms that we currently subscribe to.
That's great. No, that's real, straight up feedback. And yeah, teacher retention is always a thing. And it's great to have like peer coaches, somebody that becomes, the hero or the champion, Jay, there you go, of a product that can help other teachers. And especially in a PLC type of thing. Sarah, what have you seen as a result of the implementation?
Yeah, I mean, I think in APS, and here in Cobb, definitely that individual musicianship, like when we were in school, I don't know that my director ever listened to me perform individually.
Yeah.
It was group rehearsal, right? So for MusicFirst to be able to give that opportunity to teachers to be able to listen to students individually, because there's never a time you're going to be able to do that for every student in your classroom. So I think that individual musicianship definitely has improved. So, I mean, Cobb has an incredible tradition of excellence in music programs, and I think MusicFirst definitely, helps that. This past January, we had 12 ensembles that performed at our state conference.
Wow.
We have like 40 total performances. So we were 25%, of the entire state. Wow. Jay's group 2 weeks ago sang at Southern ACDA in Memphis, and it's because of that individual musicianship that then comes together, in an ensemble. We had, we talk about individual musicianship, I think 184 individual chorus members that were part of All State in February. So it really does help that individual student that wants to learn more, kind of like Jay said, that if they want to explore more in other platforms, it gives them that opportunity. So that individual musicianship definitely is something that's impacted.
Yeah. So before Jay, I'll tee this up for you. I have said to so many music teachers, any music teacher that would listen, that the main differentiator between a student getting into an honor ensemble and not is almost always their sight reading score. And the reason is that they've practiced their scales over and over. They've practiced the assigned repertoire over and over. But when they go to that audition and they walk into that room and someone goes, play this, that's a, and if they're not used to doing it, deer in the headlights, they freak out. They don't play it as well as they could. But if they're used to sight reading on a kind of regular basis, it becomes a little less scary. I don't know if that's the same, as a chorus director. If I was still teaching band, I would have a sight reading factory ensemble exercise as part of my daily warm up with them. So so Jay, I'd love to hear how it's impacted your program.
Well, I throw Sight Reading Factory on the screen all the time in my room, and it really has replaced how I introduce it to them. And it used to just be exercises that you would pass out on paper, and then I would throw up a finale exercise and just kind of change notes and get kind of design it on the fly. But just having a tool that like Sight Reading Factory that just goes one after the next, it's a great trainer tool. But as far as like what Anna and Sarah were saying in the individual growth, In my program, one of the things that I'm just thrilled about, I'm so happy about this, it has brought me so much joy as a teacher, is to watch their individual progress. So, ensembles are tested as an ensemble in their sight reading ability, and then maybe a handful of those kids will go to that audition and be asked to sight read by themselves. And it just became, it was really unpractical for a chorus teacher to ask all of their students to record themselves, and then what are they going to sing? You're going to give them all the same thing. You have people at different levels. So I created 16 custom levels of difficulty in Sight Reading Factory.
Oh, wow.
With some of those levels being clones, basically, of the sight reading examples that students would see in the all-state auditions for 7th and 8th grade. There's a 7th and 8th grade audition, a 9th and 10th grade audition, and an 11th and 12th grade audition. And then just incrementally working those students from one to the next. And I've been using it for a few years and been able to place students in student groups in MusicFirst Classroom and let them determine what level they should sight read, what level they can do. And so we can just start at 1 and work our way up, but I do allow them the opportunity to jump ahead if they feel like they can. And then give them assignments, Sight Reading Factory assignments to do by themselves at home, without anybody else around, and give them as much time as they want to do it. So some kids will get it done in 5 attempts, and some kids I tell them, don't go over 15. But I'll still see on the submission that this was their 47th attempt or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, amazing.
And because they just want to get it. And the auto assessment now was a game changer, because before they were sending it off to me with a hope and a prayer. And now they can see the score they're going to get before they send it in. Although, sometimes the kids start on the wrong pitch and then they submit it and I listen to it and it's a lot better than it was supposed to be. But just to give those assessments and let them meet the kids at their level so that they're always challenged. It's always, meeting them where they are, and when they get it a 95 or higher on an assignment, I give them the next level up. They don't have a choice.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And so they have to go up, and they'll sometimes ask me, "Hey, can I do a level 5 again? Level 6 is kind of hard." I'm, well, it's supposed to be harder. Yeah, go.
That's great.
And if they score low, then I'll let them redo an assignment at the lower level, which they had already mastered, so they can salvage a grade. I'm not, putting them in a position where they can't necessarily succeed in terms of their grade. But that has been a real blessing, and I've shared that at a couple of conferences, and a lot more of my colleagues. A lot of my colleagues here in Georgia have started doing the same thing, and they swear by it now too. So I think that's been a huge tool for tracking individual progress and giving differentiated assessments to every single student, and then be able to congratulate them for that when they level up. It's all, it's a great feeling to level up. So we give them a little pencil. It says Sight Reading Rocks.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I line them up in front of the class. I line them up and say, these are the people. And it doesn't matter if they're going from level 2 to 3 or level 15 to 16,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't tell them what level they're at. I don't tell the class what level anybody's at. They can share that if they want to, but I just say all these people leveled up, and so that's been a real joy as a chorus teacher. Yeah.
Well, folks, we're just about out of time, but I just wanted to wrap up by saying that, I sat for a year and a half designing this, and a lot of the things that you've talked about tonight were exactly, as a former music educator, this is what I was always hoping there would be. So to hear that the way that you're using it and the positive impact that it's having is extraordinarily gratifying to me, because when I work from home, you're working with kids every day. I miss that tremendously. I'm literally in my basement like 10 hours a day. So to hear directly from you and to hear the positive impact it's had, absolutely brilliant. Before I wrap, I know, Anna, you wanted to say something. So if you wouldn't, go for it.
I am also a mother of 2 musicians, and my oldest daughter, she's a sophomore, and she has been devoted to MusicFirst and Sight Reading Factory. She didn't really know how to sight read very well her freshman year, so that scared her away from auditioning for regionals. And but this past year, she dove in. She auditioned for regionals. She made it, and I heard this girl working every single day on her sight reading. Like every day, I heard her doing the work, and I offered my help. But she's a very independent learner, and she's an AP kid, and so then after she made regionals, she's like, I'm going to work really hard and get better at my minor sight reading. So she just hit the minor stuff. And that girl made All-State. Like,
congratulations.
Not only from an administrative perspective, but as a parent. Thank you so much for designing this and pulling it all together, because she's going to go to our All-State here in just a couple of weeks as teacher Alto 1. So thank you.
That's very, very cool. I just got to tell you this story, Anna, because what you said. So I'm going to just quickly, before we wrap, everyone, and I hope you all appreciate this story. The way I found out about Sight Reading Factory is that my 10th grade daughter was up in her bedroom singing. And I, as a parent, you're like, oh, an angel is singing. And I went upstairs and I burst into her room. I said, Abby, what are you doing? And she goes, oh, I'm on this website called Surf. I'm practicing my sight singing. It's called Surf. And I was like, what is it? And I looked over and I saw the SRF. And I was like, what is that? Thing called, I think it's called Sight Reading Factory. I called Don Crafton the next day and I said, my daughter, by the way, my daughter got into NISMA All-State.
Oh, wow.
She was practicing and I called up Don. I said, we have to work together. We've been working together for about 12 years ago now. So it's really, I had a very similar experience. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for taking the time at the end of your school day. I'm sure you're tired. You'd like to go home, put your feet up and have a glass of wine. I thoroughly appreciate all that you've shared today. I hope you have a fantastic spring concert season and that your year ends with wonderful things. And you have a restful summer. I can't wait to spend time with you in person, and I'd love to come out to Phoenix. Sarah and Jay, I'm going to be in Atlanta at the end of April, so maybe we can say hello. But thanks for being here this evening. Really, really appreciate it. And for everyone at home, I hope you learned something. Visit MusicFirst, sign up for a free trial if you want. Check it out. Get in touch. I'm Jim at MusicFirst. If you want to ask questions, I'll be happy to forward them on to our panelists. But thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your school year as well. Take care.